Well, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start from how this story came to be told.
So the day after the Stoneman Douglas disaster last year, that terrible massacre, I was having a tearful discussion with my wife and my oldest daughter about how could someone ever get to that point? How could you ever feel like you wanted to hurt that many people? And sadly, I do know how that feels. So I went to the back of the house and I wrote a simple Facebook post. And in it, I just said I was almost a school shooter. And I laid out a brief synopsis of my story, and by the next morning, that had caught Facebook viral, and it had a couple 100,000 likes and shares. And so my wife said, well, maybe someone else might want to hear this. And so I sent it to the local NBC affiliate in Denver, and that video just blew up, got like 17 million views.
So this was a year ago, but you had been living with this thought for 25 years.
Yeah. I had always thought that that I was the villain, that if anybody ever found out about my real life, that I would be the villain in everybody's story, that everybody would hate me.
Take us back there to the boy who was in so much pain.
So I grew up in a really, really violent household. I described my first couple years of life like living in a Stephen King movie. I was constantly the new kid, constantly getting bullied and picked on. Every school I went to, there was a new set of bullies. And I was fat, I was smelly, I read comic books, I was sensitive. I was just picked on by everybody. And I started to adapt that I'm the monster, I'm the broken one. I'd been screaming out my entire life and nobody heard me. I felt my whole life like if I walked out of a room, people would forget that I was there. Like I was just invisible. And I was gonna make them hear me now. So all those plans that I had talked with my friends, all that fantasy, that just crystallized. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm either gonna go to my school or I'm gonna go to the food court at the mall. And the only difference that is the time of the day, of what time I was gonna get the gun. And I knew where to get a gun because there was gangbangers that went to my school. So I went up to him like, hey, can you get me a gun? He's like, yeah, sure, get me an ounce of weed. And again, mid-90s, like $500 worth of drugs. So that was actually pretty easy. Went to my mom's house, stole an ounce of drugs off a guy sleeping on my mom's floor. Went to him and said, all right, here you go. He's like, all right, give me 3 days, I'll get you a gun.
Your friend got to you before you got to the gun.
Yes, and got to me by the simplest, most human acts, by doing exactly what I just talked about, by not treating me like I was a project, by not treating me like I was broken, by like, dude, you're all right. Sit down, have a meal. You're okay. Watch this movie with me. What do you want to do today? We just have to let people know that they're okay. People just want to be listened and want to hear that they're okay.
Do you think that people knowing that they're okay would have stopped the number of shootings that we're seeing?
I think it would have at least stopped some. And like I said, even one's enough. Even stopping one's enough. Even stopping one person from wanting to hurt themselves right now is enough. Go one person at a time. I never ended up going to get the gun. I stayed at Mike's house the rest of that weekend and spent time with people who loved me.
Let me ask you this question, Johnny. You had 150 volunteer teenage actors simulating a school shooting. What kind of feedback did you get during that shooting process?
What's happened after every single film set that we do, since these people are so young, they come to me and they tell me about their experience at school and how when they're at school and they hear a door shut loudly, they're scared that a shooting might occur, or that they pray in their car with their parents before they enter. And so everybody on set felt very empowered and good that they're working towards sharing a story and message of compassion and love for people.
So you feel that the people who you're trying to reach are reachable?
Yeah.
Oh, completely.
Everybody is reachable.
They're human.
There's a very small section that's going to follow through with the attacks, okay? They're actually going to follow through with it. Very, very small amount of people that are going to do that. There's a huge amount of people who are in that gray area, in that depressive spot that think that they might, that think that maybe they should. There's a big amount of people in that area, and those are the ones that we can reach. Up until the minute you pull that trigger, you can be reached.
In a world that's suffering, any voice of hope is a beautiful thing, and that's what makes me feel good when I wake up in the morning, knowing that we all worked on this project. I'm sure it's what makes Aaron feel good. Any voice of hope is a great thing in today's world because there's a lot of people suffering.
I just want to help someone that's in that darkness find a way out of it. And if I can help one person find that, I'm going to keep on going the rest of my life.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.